Hi, my name is John Kevin, and it's been a while since I last uploaded, but better late than never. The gameplay you'll be watching is from Ironsight, the game which I shall be reviewing today. So it's my first 30 plus kill game, which was on the map Outpost, and a 20 kill sniping gameplay on the map Titan. So, Ironsight is basically a good recreation of Call of Duty, and I'm sure you've heard this from many other sources if you're looking here. And what I'm basically going to go over is the issues that I have found are terrible with the game, and many of these are forgivable seeing as the game is still in open beta phase. And this is the time that Whipple Games should take to listen to the criticism of the community so that they understand what they need to better with the game. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, the game has terrible servers. And this is really bad because the hit detection is absolutely terrible. I mean, on both ends, I am getting killed behind walls and I'm killing enemies behind walls. And I appreciate that the ping is lower than on most other European servers because I live in East Africa. So my ping to European servers on most other games is maybe 160 to 180. On this game, it's around 130, 140, which is a slight improvement, but I definitely feel the effect on movement and the smoothness of the game, but that can also be attributed to the game design itself. But the hit detection really needs to be looked at, and it also shows when you look at the highlights of the game, the hit detection. And I understand that for the kill cam, or the highlight in this case, it's just a series of images that are taken at say 15 or 30 frames per second, and that's really terrible, but they need to up the hit detection of the game. The second issue is sound balance. I've found that the game has a very wide dynamic range in terms of sound, so you find that gunshot sounds may be subtle, but the sound when an enemy kills you is very loud, and this sticks out especially to someone who has sensitive ears like me. And it gets quite irritating quite quick, and I often have to turn down the volume, and this also leads to a disadvantage such as not being able to hear enemy footsteps. Then another issue is weapon balance, and to be more specific with the secondary weapons. I mean, these are weapons that are designed for close quarters, but probably the only weapon that's good at close quarters among the secondaries is the Python, because the Deagle is pretty good, but the rest are absolutely terrible. And the shotguns should be a class of their own, but that's an issue I'll talk about in a bit. The semi-automatic pistols like the PX4 and the TAC Ops need a buff on their damage because they just can't keep up with the automatic weapons in close quarters, which is what they're meant for anyway. Then the mechanic that slows you down after you get shot really shouldn't be present in this game, and like, this is not subjective, it should be pretty objective, because this is a mechanic that, if I'm not mistaken, is from Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and it works well in that game because the pacing is very different. But this game is quite fast-paced, faster than most Call of Duties actually, which is quite a title to live up to. But the slowdown mechanic simply doesn't have a place in this game because it just makes it difficult for you to get away from an enemy that is firing at you. Then back to the shotguns. I mean, these first of all should be available as primary weapons, because if they're trying to copy Call of Duty, they might as well do an even more impressive job than they have and put something respectable into the shotguns, because the shotguns are secondary weapons and they are weak because, one, unless an enemy is at 50% health, you probably won't kill them in one shot. And the shotguns also have terrible range in that unless it's point blank, you're going to take at least 3 shots, which is quite unforgivable for a game that's quite fast-paced and has really small maps, by scale, that is. A big gripe that I also have with this game is the map design, because the spawns are terrible. Spawn camping is a very frequent issue that I run into, And the maps also don't cater to some kill streaks very well. They're also known as drones in this game, but a streak like the Hellbird is barely usable in most maps because many of the maps in this game are closed in that they take place, most of the combat takes place in buildings, and these buildings are inaccessible to the chopper gunner or the Hellbird. And perks. I mean, I'll shoot straight with this one. This game needs Tac Mask, which is the perk that reduces the effect of tactical grenades like flashbangs and concussions and what have you. Because it doesn't make sense that they have a perk that deals with grenade damage, lethal grenade that is, but does not deal with tactical grenade damage. And it creates a sort of imbalance. And another one is the recoil on many weapons doesn't really make sense because it's a pretty fast-paced game in many situations which are close quarters, so the recoil mechanic doesn't make sense too much, and especially on the higher damage weapons like the SA-58. I really don't think a weapon like that should have as much recoil as it does, given that it already has a low fire rate. Because I mean the Scar H is comparatively better simply because it has less recoil. So those are just some of the issues that I have with the game. I mean, I'm sure more will pop up and I will address them in coming videos, but this is the best that I can do right now. I hope you guys will enjoy the gameplay in the background and this hopefully short review or overview on the issues that the game currently has.
see this through. Cause I got a whole life to learn, yeah, and that's what I'ma do. Yeah, I got a whole life to learn, yeah, and that's what I'ma do.